tolla bankora kole amovele wolo ya almalon tolla kambiala kole amovele wolo arninda banko kanjabe ko bankora kole amovele wolo tolla kambiala kole ya movele wolom ululaluo ngabala pandingalie dingal karanta almaja da kuda jaringo en tolla bankola kole ya movele wolom ululaluo ngabala pandingalie Armaja da kuda jaringo en tolla bankola kole ya movele wolo Almalon tolla kambiala kole ya movele wolo
Papa ñu ngi am t-shirts ak hoodie sorry t-shirt jeex na so hoodie bi rek a des léegi is 30 euros bëgguñoo yóbbu everything we want to sell here yep so leen amee friends and families mun ngeen you buy for them thank you so much
non dama bëgg am lu ma yokk rek si li nit ñi doon wax fii mooy ne dafa am loo xam ne moo utalee doy ak yeneen political parties mooy ne doy duñ jël si nit ñi te duñ leen delloo dara mooy ne fuñ jaar ñu offal leen dara pour nit ñi mun leen a jox dara su ko defee ñun ñëpp du bokk a jëriñoo moo tax fundraising yi doy mu xaw a uti ak yeneen parties yi ni ñoo raise funds dëgg la xëy na liñ am bariwut waaye am na ak lu moo mandargal ci nit ki nga solo soo seetee flag doy bi mu ngi amee jant amee lu vert amee lu chocolat dafa am lu mu firnde lim firnde mooy réew wala dund wala life du mun a am mukk su nekkee ne jant amut life dañ ko soxla pour nit mun a survive dafa mel ni nag kon nit dafa soxla life.
Let's welcome our honorable guest, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we are about to start. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Bangkona,
Barkono mega domoro duwa giare da do register
I think we are good to start now. But before we do the final things on our program for today, just want to announce something that already we have demonstrated something, that we have people here who can speak in different languages. Maybe Halifa may be speaking in English, but please feel free. English, Wolof, and Mandinka. Brief. But feel free to ask questions or make comments in whatever language you want. Thank you. We will now hand over the mic to our election committee. They have an announcement to make, and then we can start the business of the night. Thank you very much.
Later you are in contact with cats, right? Who can? It's on the should put it in place also. I don't know, maybe they will tell you, I will not that way. Okay, so you are just taking the video, but you are not in contact with cats. Okay.
Yeah, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are very glad to see you all here. As our colleagues, they said previously, PDOIS is a party with a difference. We just conducted our AGM election process today to elect in new officials in our executive committee to steer the work of this great party in the diaspora, especially in Europe. And we had an election committee which is part of our internal democratic process. And during that process, the delegates from different parts of Europe, from Sweden, Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom, Germany, and from Holland, had the opportunity to participate in the process of an election to choose a chairperson, a co-chairperson, vice chair, and a co-vice chair, a treasurer, an auditor, and we set up different committees also, like a media committee, the finance committee, and the fundraising committee. And we also choose a secretary. To this position, I'm very glad to give the mic to the chairman of the election committee to read out the names.
Well, the chairman is Faisuso. Co-chairman is Ejo. And then the vice chair, A. Jao. Co-vice chair, A. Ture. Yeah. Treasurer, S. Njai. Auditor, Mohamed Rame. Media Committee, Anita Mbaji, Esba, and Landing Nyasi. Secretaries are Anita and Landing Nyasi. Finance Committee, S. Njai and A. Almatu Fadia, and then Sami and Ho, Faisuso, are also in the finance committee. And the fundraising committee is Fatunjai, Dusu, Balsa, Aruna Baji, Musa Job, Idi Ja, and Usman Ja. So these are the newly elected officials of our European branch. Thank you.
And we would like to call on to those names to please stand up for the general public to recognize your faces. You will do that. Faisuso is the chairperson. My name is Yahya Drame from Sweden. Uncle Karanta was standing here. He's also from Sweden. Faisuso, please. Can we give a... And the co-chairperson is our brother Ablai Job. Alaji Job. And the vice chair is Ablai Jao. He has not been able to be attendance here just now. And we have a co-chair, Alhaji Ture. Asan Ture, sorry, Asan Ture.
Asan Ture.
And the treasurer is Sehnjai. We just need maybe 2-3 of accounts of Sehnjai in Gambia. And we have an auditor, our able brother, Mohamed Rame. And we have our dynamic lady here, Anita, as in the media committee. And we have, is it Musa Baji? And Suleiman Bukar Ba. Landing Nyasi. We have Anita as the secretary to the branch. And assistant secretary is Landing Nyasi. In the finance committee, we have Sehnjai and Alimat Fadia Sami and Faisuzo. Then in fundraising committee, we have Fast Njai, Dusu Balasa, Aruna Baji, Musa Jo, Idija and Usman Ja. And once again, from my humble self, I am from Gothenburg, Sweden. Would like to welcome our humble guest, Honorable Hanifa Salah, all the way from the Gambia, to come and attend this great gathering. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Executive Committee, we want to thank all of you, not only for coming, but also for making the day a very productive AGM. This part of the program is to give you the opportunity, that means the wider participants, to dialogue, ask any question that is of concern to you or concern to your friends who may not be here. We will be launching Gonga, and we will expect people to make pledges. We have a minimum fee or a minimum donation that we are expecting from anybody who is getting this Gonga. Gonga is the publication of DOI. We have Foria, but this is Gonga, and the organ for DOI, the organ of DOI. It would be published monthly, but the content of this particular publication was the wall to me or to any other buyer. We have people who have already pledged, and they will have their copies signed. That's why Uncle Halifa is busy signing the copies. You will have a signed copy, and if you want, you can also take a picture with Uncle Halifa. We thank you very much. The rest of the program will be covered live. The launching of Gonga will also be covered live. So I think our media team, they are ready. But before I proceed, there is also an important announcement that I am asked to make. We have a sister here, Dusu Balasa from Spain chapter. She's the delegate from Spain. And the Spain chapter send their contribution, about £100 to add to our contributions. We also recognize the efforts of our sister, Ya Aida Jallo, and our brother here, Paul, for the GoFundMe, online GoFundMe. As we check, the last time I checked with Brother Seh Njai, it was £775 already raised. We thank you very much. This was an initiative that we did not sanction. They are concerned Gambians, concerned citizens, and we appreciate and thank you for your contributions. Thank you very much.
we thank you very much for being here. Our destiny is in our hands. And manna will not drop down from heaven to eradicate the poverty of our people. 48% of our population living on less than $1 a day. $65.9 billion is indebtedness. That is the country we belong to. A country with an ocean that can feed our population. But fishing vessels will come, pay a license, take our resources to their own land, provide jobs for their own citizens, whilst we continue to wallow in poverty. What does it cost to purchase fishing vessels? To be able to fish on our waters with our own trawlers, land them on our own territory, process them by our own citizens, export them, and gain foreign exchange for our homeland. What stops us from being able to do that? We continue to import $2.4 billion worth of rice. And we have all the land to be able to cultivate the rice for ourselves and save our nation $2.4 billion worth. When you read the Gonga, it tells you the oil we are importing and all the things we are importing, which we could produce for ourselves and save foreign exchange and build our own homeland. What stops us from doing that? We have all the potential to be self-reliant. But why are we not self-reliant? That's the question we should ask ourselves. We're saying that production can be done by the private sector, it can be done by the public sector, it can be done by cooperatives, it can be done by informal sector. And we want you to know what DOI intends to do to ensure that we live in prosperity. And that's what this Gonga aims to teach. We are saying in this Gonga that the private sector in the Gambia has external assets amounting to 9 billion, internal assets amounting to 22 billion in 2019. But the corporate sector contributes only 1 billion in corporate tax, whilst 1.2 billion is spent on health. So what is gathered from corporate tax is not even sufficient to meet the health budget. not to talk about the education budget of 1.9 billion. So the private sector is still small. But we are informed that every year, just buying and selling currency will amount to $1.6 billion, not dollars, but dollars, in simply selling and buying foreign exchange. Where is that money going? Why is it not invested in the productive base of our economy in order to be able to generate employment? So the Gambia is transformed into simply a territory for selling and buying foreign exchange without a productive base. So how will our young people get employment? 350,000 in our lower basic school, 98,000 in our upper basic school, 64,000 in our high schools, 12 years, all in the street. How many of them are already in the street? Where will they get employment? That is the question. And that's what Gonga seeks to address. That is why it is produced, so that you know what DOI intends to do to generate that employment. We've seen social security. It could buy Ocean Bay, add other hotels, when its mandate was to create low-cost housing for our citizenry. Go and find out how people live, the rent they pay, and the space they occupy. Why is it that company had not been transformed into what it should be? To build the low-cost housing that is necessary, flats that you find here, find in England, everywhere. Council flats. We build fire bricks, we produce fire bricks. What are the houses made of in England, in Germany, in any parts of Europe? You look at the drainage system, sewerage system, environmental degradation from all angles. Why simply urban planning, rural planning, planning of a space to know where you should build hospitals, you should build schools, you should build roads, where residential facilities should be, where businesses should be. 54 years, we cannot sit down and plan how to live. And we erect buildings everywhere, helter-skelter. So much so that if you want to now construct the roads, they will tell you, if you have to pull down all these buildings, it will be so expensive that we cannot expand the roads. What is wrong with us? That we cannot even plan our space to know how to live. This is the challenge of development that Gonga seeks to address. You look at the laws, they will tell you 60% of council revenue should go to development. 25% should be added by government so that you can have development. It is in the laws, but never implemented. Is that how we run our society? The law should be a guide. But if you dishonor and disrespect it, how can you develop? So we are gathered here as a people to ask ourselves fundamental questions. How is it that we became independent in 1965 when many people here were not even born? But still our people continue to be born in poverty, live in poverty, grow in poverty, get aged in poverty, and die in poverty. Why? Is this our destiny? Are we going to continue to be among the wretched of the earth? And how can we justify that before humanity? That we are human beings with intelligence, capacity to think. Among the Gambians you find the most intelligent scientists, social and natural, doctors, engineers, professionals of all types, accountants, working all over the world, demonstrating their excellence. But then when you go back home, you wallow in the mud during the rainy season before getting to your mansion. How can we justify that? Individual development and collective underdevelopment. We cannot justify that because all of us will one day get into the grave, no matter how wealthy, no matter how prosperous, and we leave behind a society we are not proud of. And that is the challenge. Is that how we want to live? Is that the country we want to leave behind? And that's why we are here. Because our destiny is in our own hands. Before we can blame leaders for failing us, but now we cannot. On the 1st of December 2016, a new Gambia came into being. And you are refusing to recognize that. A new Gambia is born. That is the truth. And we must not leave this hall until we recognize and accept that. 52 years before 2016, Gambia never changed through the ballot box. It is true that we became sovereign in 1970. We became a republic. And the Constitution said sovereignty resides in each of us. But nobody taught us. We went to school not knowing what our country meant to us, how it was governed. Never knew its constitution. We didn't even know that a constitution exists. You can have your PhD without even knowing a single provision of that constitution. And we claimed that we were educated, and we didn't even know ourselves. Did not know our country, did not know our history, did not know our powers. We were taught that the intelligent person should not be interested in politics. That was for somebody who is strong-headed. You should think about your exams and excelling and becoming somebody. Somebody who does not even know who he is, who she is. and you are somebody. You cannot be a somebody until you know yourself. But they did not want us to know ourselves. There was nothing like citizenship education in our school system. But on the 1st of December, we went to the polls spontaneously. We woke up in the morning and were told that the person we thought to be omnipotent, with all the wealth and military might, would no longer have the authority to manage the affairs of that nation. And what was responsible? The votes of the Gambian people. That the vote is a manifestation of your sovereign power, sovereign authority to determine who occupies the highest position in the land. So now, all of us are conscious that our vote counts. And that is why there is constitutional reform, so that every Gambian throughout the world will have the right to vote. And that is why you must begin this new journey of asserting our newly realized power. We must not be distracted by the action of others. Let's focus on the fact that power belongs to us. And starting from 2nd December, we are now Gambians with power. But you want a new Gambia. And you have not seen a new Gambia. And you claim that December 2nd is a disappointment. December 2nd is a revolution. What followed may be the disappointment, but December 2nd was a revolution. What we must now ask ourselves is, as a Gambian citizen with power, are we new Gambians? How can we have a new Gambia without being new Gambians? Are we truly new Gambians? That is the challenge before us. And that's what Gonga strives to address. That the starting point of building a Gambian nation is for each of us to become a new Gambian who recognizes that I have sovereignty deposited in me. You have sovereignty deposited in you. We are equal in sovereignty. Irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our ethno-linguistic origin, irrespective of our gender, we are all equal in sovereignty. That's why one vote for each of us. And you must become the mechanic, I must become the fitter, you must become the lawyer, you must become the doctor, you must become something that benefits me, I must become something that benefits you, so that it becomes a division of labor, where we serve each other to build a nation, loving and respecting each other. That is what is going to create the Gambian people. Then we have one mind. How to ensure that our marine resources, our terrestrial resources, the land, Our atmospheric resources, we have the sun, which can give us renewable energy in order to have the electricity and drive our machines. So the resources are there. We must use our brains to come up with the policies that we will implement to enable the resources to come back to us and make our lives better. That's what has been analyzed here. How we are going to harness those resources and plan our society so that we can all live in liberty, dignity, and prosperity. We've emphasized that you need 7 pillars to develop a society. And the Gonga has actually analyzed those pillars. We need the political pillar. And that political pillar is what makes what DOI is calling for different from what is being called for anywhere we have seen. The first political pillar is that you matter, because sovereignty resides in you. Your development matter, your liberation matter. You should be an embodiment of dignity and self-worth. That nobody should be supreme over you. That you are equal in worth to every human being on the face of the earth. And DOI is saying, whilst in American system of government and concept of government among their leaders, they still have minorities. DOI says that the highest level of democracy that the Republic promotes, there is no minority. Everybody is equal in sovereignty. Therefore, in our own country, our own political evolution, we must eradicate the concept of a minority. Each is equal in sovereignty, and all belong to the majority Gambian people. That serving as the base, that is why we said as we evolve to build the state, equal in sovereignty, we must cooperate. We must merge our sovereignty so that it becomes the collective sovereignty that determines our manner of government. That is why Gonga is saying the cooperative state, meaning that the state we have belongs to all of us. We determine its administration, its management, and determine who governs us. That is what DOI advocates. And that is why DOI is different from old Soviet Union or present China. And for that matter, all the democracy where you still see people belonging to this religion as minority, or that color as minority. That does not exist in the concept of the state that DOI is advocating for. And because we own the country, the state is transformed from being an instrument of coercion into an instrument of protection. So it means that we must have an army, a police force that must be retrained and given the values of being fully prepared to defend the dignity and integrity of our people. And we must be able to have a public service that must defend the dignity and integrity of our people. So we therefore call for a certain form of development that is people-centered. At the level of administration of the state, we're emphasizing that men and women must be equal in cabinet, in National Assembly, in running the affairs of the state. That is what DOI is calling for, starting with 30% proportional representation in all positions of leadership and moving to equality. That's what DOI stands for. It says that the monarchical base of the state should be eradicated. And you will see it there. A whole long list. I will not go through all of it, but through your questions, a whole list of eradicating the monarchical base of the presidency, so that appointments will no longer be the absolute responsibility of presidents, but there must be parliamentary oversight. That's what DOI is calling for. That those who are linked to a president, male or female, will have their private lives, will not carry out state functions. And a whole list is there. That if you are a president, put in a public office, whatever donations that you receive become state property. Whatever gift becomes state property. And will be given to institutions. If it is rice, it goes to social welfare for distribution to the poor. Whatever becomes state property. All that is listed in the Gonga. We must make sure that there is local government, that each village will have a council. If they are too small, you combine them. Rather than expecting somebody to give them gift to have milling machine, borehole, and we see it as a symbol of contributing to development, we are saying that each village must be an economic unit. Taxes paid by the people will go into the fund of the village. The village will have a productive base. If it is a village like Batakunkusanyang Katong where mining is taking place, then they must own shares. They must have their own village farms where the cooperative bank will give them the resources that they need to produce, and the fund will go into the village fund for development purposes. Each village will be planned. Each district will be planned. The health centers, the crèches, early childhood educational facilities, the milling machines, the clean drinking water, everything must be planned. The roads, and all estimated. Development plans created, and the funds utilized to ensure the development of each village district and the rest. That is all here. So therefore, rural area will develop. Urban planning will also take place to ensure that there is urban housing. Just give you examples. What prevents social security, from taking a whole street, check all the buildings that are there, estimate them, and then come and build the whole street and give their owners the flats equivalent to the value of their compounds. What stopped Social Security from being able to do that? Just as an example. So in essence then, we are talking about a new political productive base which will link politics with managing the affairs of both the urban and rural areas. We said the political base is fundamental. It gives power to you to determine who manages all those institutions, but also power of oversight, that the people become part and parcel of the development of the urban area and the rural areas. So that whatever development is taking place, those in the wards, those in the villages will know what is available and where it should go, so that there will be proper social auditing, therefore resources can never be diverted. This is what DOI is calling for. The second pillar is the economic base. DOI is saying that since you have a private sector, rather than the private sector contributing half of the domestic debt of the government and not investing in the productive base, the private sector will be encouraged to gain resources from the private banking system in order to build the private productive base to generate employment as well as corporate tax. But that is still small and cannot eradicate the poverty of our people, 70% of whom still live in the rural areas. And many who are now coming to the urban areas without any means of employment. Women are there, males are there, young people coming out of school. How will they marry when they cannot even earn an income? How can they build families? So we are saying then, the public sector must become productive. We will not allow anyone to go and mine our minerals without shares that constitute the majority. And without continuing to invest so that the machines they use ultimately will be machines that we can buy for ourselves. We will start in terms of fishing, that licenses will be given to those who will employ our people in those vessels and land fish on our land. And the percentages will be determined. But the ultimate objective is to have a public, productive fishing enterprise that will have trawlers that will fish our waters. And the foreign exchange provide employment for our citizens. We're saying that will generate sovereign national wealth, which can be invested in infrastructure for development, but will also ensure that the state companies, Social Security, Camtel, all these other companies will be encouraged to develop their productive base so that they'll be able to pay dividend to government, which will be utilized to build the infrastructural needs, hospitals, schools, infrastructural needs of the country. there must be a strong productive public sector to generate sovereign national wealth. We emphasize that in fact, companies like Gamtel Social Security can even invest in bonds in other parts of the world in order to generate more income for themselves, for investment, just like other countries are doing. We're saying the most important sector is the cooperative sector. That's why we talked about the cooperative economic base. That we have land, we need to process, we need to market. How do we link this chain of production of raw materials, processing and marketing? We say in the Gonga that we must have a bank, a cooperative bank, where the public sector, mining sector, all other sectors will be able to invest public funds. And they will go to the family farms, provide them with the seed money to get fertilizer, seeds, and farming implements to expand their production so that there will be larger scale production. Once they produce the rice, the coos, whatever, then we will link them to appropriate technology. Where in the village there will be division of labor, some will become the processors of the raw materials by owning in a corporate manner the milling machines and other means of getting the process, goods process. So they'll be able to process it. That is generating employment for all those people. After it's being processed, then you would have had all those women, all those men who are selling in the markets well organized so that the produce will come to them for them to market it. So you'll have a chain that will free 3 sectors from poverty. The raw material producers, the secondary stage of our destiny. But we are importing even pencils and exercise books. And when you give donation, it's manna from heaven. But you must keep it coming, otherwise the children will suffer. But what is the challenge? So we are saying education will change. And from the early childhood, we begin to build a practical education system, learning by doing. The child will know every aspect of the body, combined with health and nurture preventive health through that education. To know what to consume, what not to consume. All that knowledge can come from early childhood. Children teach each other because they constitute a peer group. And you move on with them. 10-year basic educational cycle. Compulsory, free, and relevant. Implanted in the territory that we now call the Gambia that we own, so that that sovereignty will be implanted for the person to know that he or she has a homeland, a place you belong to. It matters to know that you belong somewhere, that this is your homeland. It matters. And that is the purpose of the educational system. Because you love your homeland, you want to serve it. Before, people will die for it. But now you don't have to die. Because political systems have changed. They become democratic. And we must make them democratic. Because it is in our hands to make them democratic. We create the leaders. So we must not lament. Once we create the leaders, we must not lament. We are capable of creating the right leaders. So we don't have to fight ourselves. We don't have to die. We'll now serve. That is the essence of the educational system. 10 years to know the sciences, the arts. There is no separation of natural science and social science because your body is science itself. Your health is science, and you must understand it. Health science, you must understand it. You must understand how your body functions. So natural science, social science must be linked. That's life. Science is life. Social science, your mind must be nurtured. There must be socialization. You must have values. We must know how to organize a society. We must know how to organize the economy of a society. So let them not transform us into zombies where we feel that we are this. I am in commerce. I am in arts. Somebody is in science. It's so difficult to learn science. When every day you are adding and subtracting. Once you take this and start drinking, you are subtracting until it finishes. And you are adding to your stomach. So life is addition and subtraction is mathematics. It's science. So the whole school system must change so that we have that orientation that it is just division of labor, specialization into different fields, but the basic must be known by all. And we are all intelligent to be able to know it. And after the 10 years, you go into national service. Check the area where you want to serve, and you will go there and serve, and all society has to do is to give you your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. And what you need to do to spend 1 year learning what you want to learn. Society can afford that. Because it's the duty of society to prepare its citizenry so that they can serve society. So that's what the social sector must do. Improve our health, improve our education, enhance our socialization so that we are nurtured to be sovereign government citizens that we should be. We said the other sector is the civil sector. If we own a country, then we have rights, and those rights must be protected. Equality before the law, so that there'll be no discrimination. Those are the civil rights. Freedom of speech, of expression, of association, forming unions, joining political parties, building civil associations that serve society. The young people from peer groups, health peer groups, social peer groups, subject matter peer groups, to learn, to teach each other, to grow. So that is what civil society, meaning that in terms of rights, the police will protect you. You know what an arrest should be? Proper arrest, taken before court, subject to a fair trial, no torture, no inhumane and degrading punishment. We are saying in Gonga, we are going to ensure that imams and priests, heads of civil society organizations, all those people, teachers, principals of schools will be human rights commissioners who will have every right to visit cells and stations to discover anything that violates the rights of the person and appear before human rights commissions of courts to give privileged information. So, rushing very quickly, we are talking about the cultural pillar, where in every village, in every ward, you will have cultural centers where families will meet, discuss about family matters, plays, songs, anything that helps people to enhance their way of life, the way of life of the sovereign Gambian people that enhances national unity. And we are saying the ecological pillar is the pillar of ensuring that we do not live at the expense of our environment, but that we live to ensure that our environment also enhances our survival. So that becomes very fundamental, that we do not do any form of development that harms the environment. And finally, we must relate to other nations. And Gonga is actually saying the collective sovereignty of our people, which enables us to build a nation, there must be a collective sovereignty of states where we relate to each other on the basis of equality, ensuring that on the African continent, there is African unity, cooperative banks helping our people all over, merging and cooperating in all sectors of economic, social, political integration, so that the continent emerges to be able to compete, progressive competition with other continents of the world, rather than Africa constantly being seen to be the beggars of the human race. The continent, with all its wealth, mineral resources, all its resources, should really be seen as an equal or even a donor to the human race. I will stop here because we do not have all the time, but I'm sure if you read the Gonga, you will get all the details. And if you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer them. And maybe if you ask in the local languages, so that what has been said in English can be conveyed in the local languages to our people who are also listening. But tomorrow, we are going to have a forum that is purely meant to exchange ideas on the policies of DOI. And we'll deal with all the languages in that forum, so that everybody will know exactly what we are saying, that we can debate. We open up the conversation. Gambians need a conversation now. Let's open up the conversation in order to chart a new destiny for our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think we can all attest to the fact that this AGM is nurturing all of us to become new Gambians. New Gambians who will go out there to bring about a new Gambia, system change. So the next change must be system change. We also want to announce that those of us or those of you who are watching live, please, if you are interested in Gonga, you can make your pledges online, and we will make sure we get in touch with you and provide you with a signed copy of Gonga. For the purpose of this gathering, we will leave Alaji Job, who has a list of people who have already made pledges, and we will expect all of you, and I repeat, all of you, don't leave this hall without a copy of Gonga. Uncle Halifa is saying we should go to question and answer. But I don't know whether we make these pledges or we go to question and answer. What is your take? What is your... This is a direct conversation. Question and answers. But please, before you go, we will stand at the door and make sure each of us get a copy. Thank you very much.
Londola